Good morning. Today's topic is going to be conspiracy theory. And with us, as always, is my wonderful colleague, lovely lady. Thank you for being with us, lovely lady, once again.
I look forward to it. And good morning, John.
So, the topic is conspiracy theory. And what I would like to examine is, what is it exactly that we refer to as conspiracy theory? So, for instance, you take a bunch of facts, such as, we have the corona pandemic. We have Bill Gates. Bill Gates, fact one, was a high-tech whiz kid, notorious reputation, absolutely ruthless, me first, throughout. Till finally he got his comeuppance, and there was an antitrust legislation against him, and there was even video of him going, really, literally throwing a tantrum when they essentially cornered him in an interview with the prosecutor. Then we have this person, a few years later, somehow morphing into an expert on epidemics and declaring that this is his passion and that he's going to invest his energy now in a new field, which is ridding the world of these diseases.
Is that through vaccines?
Exactly, and specifically through vaccines. The reason being given that, it's his wife, it's her passion, and he's going to support her in her passion. And then he was heavily involved in it. In the meantime, he's also heavily invested in all the left-wing news outlets, be it CNN, be it MSNBC. He's also invested in the World Health Organization. Wonderful. So all of this is carrying on. And he even warned us about this pandemic. Once again, another fact, that we're presented with. And he laid it out and he described something actually very similar. So how prescient that here we are, and here's the pandemic that he warned us of. Not only that, he happens to be positioned to be the man of the hour, the person who's going to help us to find that vaccine. Okay. Now, if anybody were to take those facts today, string them together, right, into a less than charitable picture of his motivation, we're accused of being conspiracy theorists.
Yes, absolutely.
To a large extent by the press in which he is heavily invested. Okay. But when we take a look at what we mean by conspiracy theory, yes, when we look at some of the things like QAnon, they're absolutely fantastical, nonsensical things with, devils and goblins, and, then we could have extraterrestrials thrown in for good measure. But when you just look at a series of facts and isolate the facts and just stop and look at them, one should ask yourself, the question is there a relationship in these facts? And just because we look for that relationship, does that make us paranoid? Especially when we're presented a picture which makes us feel, first of all, that literally paints this fantastical story. And yet, of this individual who behaved one way his entire life, and then all of a sudden, has found religion, turned into a wonderful human being, except that when we actually see him speak, he doesn't look like there was any transformation. He looks like the same Bill Gates, sort of whiny, obnoxious, and certainly not somebody who one is inclined to either like or believe comes from the heart. Okay? And it's a little bit like if you have a small child and you have a situation where you have a cookie jar, there's cookies missing, and then you go into, little Johnny's bedroom, and you find crumbs, and then you find a few crumbs on his
On his face.
on his face as well. Exactly. And then he will deny it, of course. That, well, not necessarily, of course, but in this case, let's say little Johnny denies it. Now, any half-intelligent parent would have a strong suspicion that there was some relationship between the missing cookies and the crumbs. But today, and I can imagine that there will be children today who will accuse their parents in this situation of being conspiracy theorists.
How could,
In the sense that if they make this connection between these various events, this child could turn around and say, this is totally unfair. This is just conspiracy theory. I'm totally innocent. You see, it's the same thing, except that in this mundane example, it's obviously absurd. And yet, it's no less absurd when it comes to Trump being bailed out time and time again, failing time and time again, 6 bankruptcies, untold, scandals, lying left, right, and center, accusing all the others of lying in the meantime, almost sort of basically confirming the fact that he's a liar, with this enormous projection, connected to the Russians previously, then incredibly deferential to Putin in public. And you take all these facts, and once again, it's as if anybody on the right side of the spectrum, if you present to them the notion that there is some sort of connection between these facts, they see you as paranoid, a lunatic, a leftist, a New World Order man or woman. And so that's where we are today. And that we have the facts presented to us, but it's presented in a soup, whether you're on the right or whether you're on the left. In the case of the right, it's, these various characters that I'm describing, but actually, it's Trump on the right, we have Gates on the left. If you're on the left, you cannot impugn Gates. You're seen as a lunatic. If you're on the right, same way, you can't impugn Trump. And yet, when you look at the two of them on the sheer face of it, any person with a modicum of common sense would know that there's something amiss here. And then you have to ask yourself the question, if this is amiss, and if they are not what they appear to be, then are they really in charge? Who's behind them? Who's supporting them? Who's protecting them?
But then that becomes a conspiracy theory.
Precisely. Thank you very much, once again, lovely lady, for being with me. And thank you for watching. And please follow us on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and now Instagram. And or visit us on the website. At johnberlinghardy.com. So look forward to seeing you next time. Thanks again. Bye.